The blood curtain was like a sea, violently churning endlessly. Countless blood rose from the ground and gathered in the air to form a huge blood clot. The blood group turned into a human form, grew wings, and a blood man flew out of the blood group. Yan Quangsheng and Meng Anwen just glanced at him and felt a great threat. The blood race and the human race are 6 to 7 points similar in length. They are thinner and more than 2 meters tall, but their body shape is half smaller than that of ordinary human races. It looks like a long pole. A pair of huge wings behind it flapped slowly, making a crackling sound. Waste. You have disgraced the great blood ancestor, and you have no right to exist. He snorted lightly with disdain. Xiaofu, who was being held by Yan Quangsheng, revealed that he exploded with a bang. Not only Serov exploded, but also the rest of the blood slaves. Become a slave of the blood clan, life and death are beyond your control. He seemed to have done a trivial thing. It's the first time to meet. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Adam, and I come from the blood race. You killed the blood slave of the deity, but refused to become the new blood slave of the deity. So I now officially sentence you to death. Adam's voice was gloomy and cold, and following his voice, the blood curtain in the air set off huge waves like an ocean. Damn your sister! Yan Quang yelled angrily, slashing a black orn towards Adam. The law of murderous aura is contained in the black light, sweeping the world. Adam smiled contemptuously. You don't know anything about power. He stretched out his finger, and hit the black orn as quickly as lightning, and Haber immediately collapsed. Adam's whole body trembled slightly, and he blocked Yan Quangsheng's attack. Meng Anwen narrowed his eyes slightly. Old Yan, continue. Yan Quangsheng let out a loud roar, and struck again. The whole person rushed forward, and the black murderous aura enveloped Adam surgingly. Adam smirked again and again. It's useless, you are not even a half-step super god, and you are just ants in the eyes of this deity. Little ants try to resist, there is no chance. Yan Quangsheng shouted loudly, we are not ants, and you are not an elephant. Even if there are too many ants, the elephant will die. Right. The flames lit up, and suddenly a raging flame burned on Adam's body. Ning Tyran rushed back and controlled the fire element, like entering a battle group. The bloody law on Adam's body was activated, and the fire was extinguished instantly, and at the same time he punched Yan Quangsheng. A blood-colored giant fist appeared in the air, knocking Yan Quangsheng back thousands of meters with a bang. Yan Quangsheng yelled and fought back again. Yi Hao rushed over, and with a shake of the spear in his hand, he also joined the battle group. 396-level high-level gods joined forces to deal with Adam alone. Meng Anwen squinted his eyes and watched the battle. Gradually, he discovered that Adam was not as strong as he imagined. Maybe his body is very strong, but what appears here is not the body. At most, it can only be regarded as a clone made of blood. Meng Anwen could sense that there was a steady stream of power in the blood curtain entering into Adam's avatar, maintaining local consumption. In the previous battle, there were countless casualties in the Eagle country, and the flesh and blood of those deceased were all merged into the blood curtain and became a member of the blood curtain. This deity has played enough, I will send you to die backward. Bloodbath. Adam suddenly sneered, and a large amount of blood rushed out, knocking the three of them back. There was a huge force in the blood light, and many people were injured. Meng Anwen couldn't see Adam's level, but it seemed that he was less than half a step above Super God. It should be between level 98 and half-step Super God. That being the case, they are not without a chance. Delay. Meng Anwen's voice rang in the ears of the three of Yan Quangsheng. The three besieged and killed Adam again. Meng Anwen flew into Shenxiata, and Shenxiata got into the blood curtain like lightning. The next moment, God Siata began to absorb the blood curtain. There is a huge space in the Shensha Tower. Although it is not as huge as the Trial Tower, it can also accommodate a large number of objects. The blood curtain was sucked into the tower, where it turned into a sea of blood. The blood curtain that had already covered most of the world began to shrink rapidly at this moment. Adam sensed the weakening of the blood curtain, and screamed, looking for death. He punched the god Siata, and the god Siata was covered with golden light, forming a formation to block Adam's attack. Shenshata is a legendary appliance, and it is extremely strong in itself. Coupled with Meng Anwen's watering with laws every day, and the protection of formations, even Adam can't do anything about God Shata in a short period of time. What's more, Yan Quangsheng and the other three were entangled, and they couldn't attack Shenzhen Tower with all their strength. More and more blood curtains were absorbed by the god Shata, and Adam's strength began to weaken slowly. He was completely angry. You have angered the deity. Humble ants, you all deserve to die. A red light rushed out of him and entered the blood curtain. Blood sacrifice. Respectfully invite the ancestors to descend. All the blood slaves in the world were blasted to pieces at the same time, and none survived. A large amount of blood merged into the blood curtain, and the blood curtain that had shrunk instantly expanded to become larger than before, covering the whole world in a blink of an eye. The blood curtain covered the sky and the sun, and the human world turned bloody at this moment. A heartbeat sounded from the blood curtain, as if a giant was waking up. In the heartbeat, the influence of the blood curtain is multiplied. Thousands of people in the Shengxia Empire lost their minds and suddenly acted insanely. They actually chose to commit suicide collectively, constantly chanting, "Welcome to the blood ancestor." The sound of the heartbeat became more and more intense, and every heartbeat would cause waves in the blood curtain. At this moment, the blood curtain turned into a sea of blood, and there was a giant awakening in the sea of blood. A huge projection of a heart appeared in the sea of blood. The heart was beating powerfully. The heart alone was bigger than the Shengxia Empire. The sea of blood covering the whole world is only a part of this giant's body. Adam laughed and said, "This is the blood ancestor's heartbeat. What a wonderful sound. Your world will become a part of blood ancestor. You should feel honored." The faces of Yan Quangsheng and the others finally changed. Such a powerful existence is not something they can contend with at all. Huge coercion spread and fell on everyone. Everyone grunted and had difficulty breathing. Just coercion made them unable to move. Huge coercion spread and fell on everyone. Everyone grunted and had difficulty breathing. Just coercion made them unable to move. God Shata shook violently and couldn't absorb any more blood. In the next second, God Shata was blown away by the bleeding curtain and hit the ground heavily. Meng Anwen flew out of the God Shata, with blood on the corner of his mouth, obviously injured. The opponent is too strong, so strong that it is desperate. What kind of existence is this? Meng Anwen and others can't even imagine. Super God level. Definitely not the super God level, far more powerful than the super God level. Blood ancestor, I'm Ba. Where Lao Su sleeps, he dares to come. I use his blood to cook hot pot. A sound resounded, and then a giant claw traveled through the space, holding the blood ancestor's heart with incomparable, accuracy. Then there was a bang, and the heart was crushed. The blood ancestor's projection also collapsed in an instant and disappeared. The blood curtain collapsed at the same time, and blood rained all over the world. No. Adam's face changed drastically, and he let out a scream of fear. Not your sister. Yan Quangsheng seized the opportunity and slashed at Adam's head with a big knife. Ning Tairen and Yi Hao also reacted and launched a fierce attack on Adam. Adam remained motionless, like a target being attacked by Yan Quangsheng and others. It was blown up in a blink of an eye. It is finally over. After killing Adam, Ning Tairen and the others breathed a sigh of relief. Yan Quangsheng whispered, "Did someone make a move?" Meng Anwen nodded, "There are only adults. Besides Antares, who else could handle the blood curtain so easily? After all, they are blood ancestors. Even if they are only projections, they are too heavy to breathe, and it is even difficult to move. But Antares is as easy as pinching an egg. The strength of Antares far exceeds their imagination. In the deep space, thousands of blood races gathered together to maintain a large formation. The blood curtain covering the world of the human race is far from being as simple as imagined, and they jointly preside over it behind the scenes. This is the blood circle of the blood race. They can project their souls through this formation, use the power of the formation to form avatars, and they can also summon blood ancestor avatars through blood sacrifices. The heart of the blood ancestor's avatar was crushed, and the blood circle collapsed on the spot. The projected Adam spewed blood from his mouth and fell limply to the ground. The formation collapsed, and thousands of blood races suffered some injuries, but they were the most seriously injured. What happened? Why did the formation suddenly collapse? Where's the blood ancestor clone? Questions came up one after another, and the only one who knew about the situation was Adam himself. It took Adam a while to recover, with a terrified expression on his face. In this world, there is a very terrifying existence, and it crushed the heart of the blood ancestor avatar. It also said. Everyone immediately asked, what else? Also said that I want to take the blood of the blood ancestor, leak the hot pot. All the blood races present were stunned. You look at me, I look at you. Who dares to say such a thing? Even in the big world, there are not many who dare to say such a thing. I feel like we've come to the wrong world. Sleeping for thousands of years, did something happen that we don't know? Why don't you ask the blood ancestor? Good. They built the large formation 123 again, preparing to communicate with the blood ancestors who didn't know where they were. But no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't communicate with the blood ancestor. The faces of these blood clan members became extremely ugly. They realized that they should be given up. This kind of thing has not happened. What should we do now? We either live here forever, or we find our way home. Find the way. Is there a way? Yes, there is a way to return to the big world. Come on, let's find the way. Thousands of blood races set off at the same time. As abandoned children, they either live here forever, or find their own way back. Antares watched the reaction of the blood race, and laughed. As a member of the blood race, why don't you have any awareness at all? The blood ancestor hasn't changed a bit after all these years, he's still so timid, he's a coward. That road is not easy to walk. Even if you find it, you may die on the road. Antares looked at Lin Moyu. We finished watching the play, and now we need to understand the law of time. In the soul world, Lin Moyu is focusing on comprehending the law of immortality. The law of immortality controls life and controls death, which is very mysterious. Lin Moyu wanders in it, unable to extricate himself. Antares glanced at Lin Moyu. Boy, your world, ACBE, is safe for the time being, it's up to you next. In the human world, the rain stopped for 3 days and 3 nights. All the land except the Shengxia Empire was dyed red by the blood. The smell of blood permeates the whole world. When the eternal Great War was closed, strong blood flowed over, making people sick. The human race professionals dispatched again and started cleaning. Meng Anwen and other god-level powerhouses searched all over the world. Not a single one was alive. Except for the Shengxia people, everyone has become blood slaves of the blood clan. Not only are there no living people, even the monsters are all dead. The world becomes empty. Meng Anwen restarted the teleportation formation, and brought back all the gods and real people in the Dragon Clan. In the Imperial Palace, all the high-level officials above the god level of the Shengxia Empire gathered together. The whole thing was weird and caused great changes in the world. In the process of change, there is no time to sort it out, so now we have to sort it out. Why is this happening? Meng Anwen said in a deep voice, the story of this matter has been completely clarified. Back then, in addition to the abyssal demons and dragon people, there was also a race called Blood Race that came at the same time. At that time, there were only us Shengxia people in the world. The Blood Race used their means to create a brand new race, which is somewhat similar to our Shengxia people, but completely different. So back then, our ancestors left a saying, people who are not of our race must have different hearts. Back then, the human race faced threats from the abyssal demons and the dragon race, and they had no time to engage in any more civil wars. They must unite internally, which also gave them a chance to grow. Of course, they don't even know themselves. They are just blood slaves of the blood clan. Thousands of years later, the blood clan took action, and everyone knows what happened afterwards. After hearing what Meng Anwen had said, everyone fell into silence, and the field was completely silent. After a while, Ning Tyran asked, whether it's abyssal demons, dragons, or blood races, they are all outsiders. They are races outside our world, right? Meng Anwen nodded. Besides our world, there are many, many worlds with many races. Although they had been mentally prepared, everyone was shocked by Meng Anwen's words. The calmest among them is Dongfang Li of the Dongfang family. Although he is only level 92, his strength is not outstanding, but when it comes to knowledge, he is the first among all. Especially the understanding of ancient history, no one can compare with it. Dongfang Li said, actually, I have already guessed that the ancient city of Shengxia is actually something from outside the sky. And the core of the upper layer of the ancient battlefield is probably not from our world. All eyes were on him. Meng Anwen smiled and said, what else do you know? Dongfang Li said, most of what I know comes from the dilapidated information in ancient books, plus some my own speculations. It's hard to say whether it's accurate or not. But it doesn't matter. Ning Tyran also said. Everyone present wanted to know more. After reaching their level, the desire to explore the unknown is even stronger. Dongfang Li said, actually, I don't know much. There are very few records about things that are too old. There was once a great war in our world. The two sides in the war were the gods and the predecessors of the human race. Everyone knows this. But what about before the Great War? According to my research, there was actually an era before the Great War, in an even older time. That era was extremely splendid and brilliant, and there were countless strong people, far surpassing us. But that era then inexplicably disappeared. I combined the Dragon Clan, the Abyss Demon, and the Blood Clan. There is also the ancient city of Shenxia, that lord, and other information, and I made a guess because of my guts. The people of that era may be out of this world. If they can leave, others can come in. Mo Xinghai tapped on the table lightly, making a rhythmic clicking sound, but why did they leave this world? They may pursue higher goals, and the world may become a shackle that shackles the growth. Dongfang Li's answer left everyone speechless for a while. What kind of strength is needed to make the world a shackle? Dongfang Li said in a deep voice, that adult must know, but we are not qualified to talk to him, maybe. He looked at Bai Yiyuan, Meng Anwen and the others, and his meaning was very clear. The only one who could talk to Antares was Lin Moyu. Meng Anwen shook his head. Xiaoyu once told us that there are some things he can't say. Who didn't let me talk? Mo Xinghai asked. Meng Anwen nodded, yes, but I can tell you very clearly that there are indeed other worlds outside our world, as well as many races, who are eyeing our world. But no matter what, the most important thing is that we must be strong ourselves. As long as we are strong enough, no matter how powerful the intruder is, we can solve it. Boom. Feng Shu patted the table. Lao Meng is right, as long as we are strong, there is nothing we can't solve. Now there are only us Shenxia people left in the world, with countless resources. Our next goal is to destroy the abyss and make this the cancer is also removed. The human world has once again returned to calm. It is foreseeable that this period of peace will not be too short. The Dragon Clan has been completely maimed, and the remaining 2 or 3 kittens can be destroyed at any time. The disaster of the Blood Clan brought considerable losses to the Shenxia Empire. According to the final statistics, more than 20 million people of the Shenxia Empire died in this blood disaster. Among them, combat professionals accounted for 1/3. Some were killed on the spot, while others mutated after being injured. Mutation has the characteristic of infection. As long as it is injured by a mutant, it will be infected. In this way, a huge infection chain is formed. In the end, the blood curtain was formed, and many people frantically died in the blood curtain. The total population has decreased by almost 10%, and this is because the Shenxia Empire has the eternal Great Wall, otherwise, the casualties would be even more severe. But once this disaster is over, the entire human world will belong to the Shenxia Empire. As long as they are not pure Shenxia people, they will be turned into blood slaves by the Blood Clan using secret techniques. In the end, it exploded in the blood curtain to summon the blood ancestor clone. The blood-stained land is recovering, and the original monsters on the land are being reborn. The dungeons all over the world now belong to the Shenxia Empire. With a large amount of resources, the population of the Shenxia Empire will usher in a skyrocketing increase. With a large population, all kinds of talents can always emerge. I believe that within a few years, the strength of the Shenxia Empire will usher in earth-shaking changes. From this point of view, this disaster has brought opportunities for development for Shenxia people. Now the only remaining enemy of the Shenxia Empire is the Abyss. As long as the Abyss is also dealt with, then you can really sit back and relax. One order after another was issued from the palace, and the whole country moved in unison. In the Soul World, the stars shine brightly. Another 2 years passed in a blink of an eye. Lin Moyu's soul became more and more pure. 9-colored dragon soul crystal spews out pure soul power every day, and the impurities in the soul are being discharged bit by bit. Lin Moyu's soul looks crystal clear. Above the soul, a law is slowly flowing. The law of immortality. Lin Moyu has gained a little comprehension in the past few days. The law of immortality is like a thin thread, sometimes entering the soul, sometimes leaving the soul, going in and out, circling irregularly. The soul seems to have adapted to the existence of the law of immortality, and does not respond much to its entry and exit. Even if Lin Moyu drives the law of immortality, it will not cause any harm to the soul. With a trembling of the soul, Lin Moyu withdrew his will, and the soul opened his eyes. The soul is shining, and so is the body. He upgraded again, so he reached level 88. 9-colored dragon soul crystal uttered a resounding dragon chant, as if celebrating Lin Moyu. Because of the relationship between the manifestation of the law, Lin Moyu's comprehension speed is very fast and very smooth. It took only 2 years to upgrade from 87 to 88. Of course, the speed at which he fights monsters and upgrades cannot be compared. If there are enough monsters, maybe 2 or 3 days will be enough. Although it took 100 times more time, the results were completely different. With a deeper understanding of the law, the soul also made corresponding changes to adapt to the law. The soul becomes pure, and the soul power becomes more pure. Lin Moyu was delighted with every change. Thinky boy, what happened to you again? Antares' tone was a little weird, and he seemed a little envious. Lin Moyu said with a smile, why don't you understand the law of time? Antares shook his head, do you understand the combination of work and rest? Lin Moyu will not believe it, do you think I will believe it? Antares once said that once he comprehended the law, it would be normal for dozens or hundreds of years, or even hundreds or thousands of years. Now that the law of time has been realized, it is in front of you. For the strong of any race, it is a great opportunity and a supreme treasure. How could Antares stop comprehending in such a short time? Unless... He can't understand. Lin Moyu looked at Antares strangely, making Antares hairy all over. Antares snorted, okay, let me tell you the truth, I can't comprehend your law of time. Why? Lin Moyu wondered. Just like the law of immortality, the manifested law of time contains your personal will, and only you can comprehend it. The embodied time law is formed through the magic star, and the magic star is filled with Lin Zhiyu's soul power, which is Lin Moyu's soul property. Therefore, the laws of time manifested through them naturally also carry Lin Moyu's personal will. Once the law is accompanied by personal will, no one else can comprehend it even if it is manifested. It's like Antares can't comprehend the law of immortality. Lin Moyu said, is there no other way? Antares said, no, the law is such a scrambled egg, otherwise it wouldn't be so difficult. Okay, don't talk so much nonsense, since you have upgraded, go move your skills, let me vent. Lin Moyu smiled, don't worry, tell me about the human race. Human race, it's very good, this world is already owned by you Shenxia people. In other words, your human race is really capable of giving birth. In recent years, everyone has worked hard to give birth. Zero looking for flowers. Lin Moyu was taken aback when he heard that, what does the whole world belong to the people of Shenxia, and couldn't help asking, what about the others? Antares said casually, they're all dead, as blood slaves of the blood clan, what's the use of keeping them alive? It has always been full of disdain and deep contempt for the blood race. Lin Moyu frowned, the world has more than 1 billion people. The Shenxia Empire has almost 200 million people. There are more than 800 million left, and they died like this. The blood clan's methods are really ruthless. But on the scale of the big world, this is just an insignificant little thing. Genocide is wiped out, which happens from time to time. The destruction of the world is not uncommon. Lin Moyu frowned, first there were the strong wild beasts, then the demon dragon blood, and the soul race. What is there in our world that deserves them to come here? Is there anything special about our world? Antares laughed and said, it's indeed a bit special. The death of idiots in the previous era has caused the tragedy of your era. But what's so special about it? It's actually nothing. You'll know it later. Lin Moyu said unhappily, can't you just keep quiet? You have to wait for everything, are you tired? Antares said helplessly, okay, let me tell you. In fact, there is something stuffed into the core of the world. This is a good thing, and strong men of all races want it. But if you want to get it, you must first become the master of the world. And this is a closed world, protected by the rules of the big world, so you understand. Protected by the rules of the big world, it is a closed world, and those who are too strong cannot enter. But it's not impossible to come in. For some invincible powerhouses, there are always means. However, there is another existence like Antares in this world. Therefore, all races can only play this treasure hunting game under the rules. Antares became a referee-like existence. Once the rules are exceeded, Antares will take action. Lin Moyu murmured, it's so disgusting to treat one world as a game. Don't talk nonsense, that person can't comment like that. Antares quickly told Lin Moyu to shut up, with a little fear in its eyes. Obviously the person behind the scenes was very terrifying. It was the second time Lin Moyu saw Antares showing such an expression. The first time it mentioned the old man riding a green bull, and the second time is now. Antares obviously didn't want to say any more, hurry up and move the skills, this topic will stop Wang. The higher the level, the greater the improvement rate of each upgrade, which is common sense. Lin Moyu has that sense of ease again. Looking at the last 4 skill star cores in the skill space, Lin Moyu felt that he could empty them all this time. The soul force turned into giant palms, quickly grasped one of them, and pulled it lightly. Obviously feel the restraint. The restraint of the skill space now only acts on the 4 skill star cores, which is much larger than before. But in the face of Lin Moyu's bandit-like giant soul palm, the binding force still failed to work and was pulled off directly. Lin Moyu easily left with a skill star core, leaving no space for his skills. If there is wisdom in the skill space, Lin Moyu will definitely be scolded from the beginning to the end. Watching the skill star core enter the soul world, the happiest thing is Antares. He has been working hard. Lin Moyu said, in the past 2 years, I have gained some understanding of the law of immortality. Although I can't drive it freely, I can already reflect some characteristics of the law of immortality in my spells. When you do it, I'll try it by the way. Antares agreed, what's the matter, just try. Huge soul power was injected into the skill star core, and the skill star core was quickly lit up, shining brilliantly. When the soul power is exhausted, flames have appeared on the skill star core. It already has a trend towards stellar evolution. Do it. Lin Moyu said to Antares, and at the same time put a layer of bone armor on himself. The bone armor released brilliant white light, not ordinary white, but that kind of extreme paleness. It looks like it will make people's hearts tremble, and there is a trace of grayness in the paleness. That is the embodiment of the law. Antares said, your law makes me feel the breath of death. Lin Moyu said, there are 2 sides to the law of immortality, and this side is death. Skeletons are death, summoning is life, and the combination is the complete law of immortality. Antares slapped it down, then let me try it. Antares used the power of a true god, and also used soul tracking. According to past experience, it only takes 2 hits to activate Lin Moyu's comprehensive freshman talent. Even if Lin Moyu uses the bone armor, the result will not change. After all, the upper limit of the bone armor's defense is determined by the level of the soul. With Lin Moyu's level 94 soul level, even if the skeleton armor is enhanced through the 4-star magic system, its defense power will not exceed level 96. After all, the foundation is too weak. Even if it is multiplied, it will not be too outrageous. Even if it is higher, it will not have any effect in the face of a true god-level attack. Just as Antares and Lin Moyu expected, the bone armor collapsed almost instantly. When the skeleton armor was collapsing, the 4-star spells were simultaneously activated. The white bones of the bone prison suddenly appeared on Antares, and then the bone fangs and bone spears erupted at the same time. The white light exploded, making the sound of metal clashing. The skeleton armor appeared on Lin Moyu again, and the moment it appeared, it was shattered under the attack of Antares. Bone prison, bone fangs, and bone spear reappeared on Antares. The 4-star magic technique goes back and forth and will not stop. The moment Antares' attack touched the bone armor and finally landed on Lin Moyu's body, the bone armor was activated 3 times in less than 0.01 seconds. The 4-star spell system was activated 3 times. When the attack landed on Lin Moyu, the attack was weakened a lot unexpectedly. The Undead Legion was supposed to crash 3 times, but it only crashed twice this time. The attack power is reduced by 1/3. My attack is offset by 1/3 of your law. It's impossible. Antares' face is full of 3 big characters, I don't believe it. The attack of the true god level will be weakened by a full third. Lin Moyu's law is not perfect, the aura of law in the technique is not strong, and Antares can fully sense it. But just like this, it can actually reduce the attack of the true god level by a full third. Lin Moyu said, based on my understanding of the law of immortality, the law of immortality that represents death can make all things fall into dead silence. All things can be real or imaginary. Whether it's people, things, or your attack, the law, or even anything else, can be affected by the law and fall into dead silence. Lin Moyu explained. Antares screamed strangely, everything can fall into dead silence, the law of death, how can there be such a terrible law? Lin Moyu said, look where you were attacked. What's so interesting about this? Such a little attack can't hurt me. Antares didn't care. How could it be possible to injure it with such a small attack? Take a look. Under Lin Yuyu's insistence, Antares went to check it out. Its body is too huge, and the attack just now didn't even cover a single dragon scale. Immediately after Antares uttered a strange cry, Lin Moyu heard the sound of a dragon's scale falling to the ground. The mist billowed, and dragon scales the size of 10 pieces flew out. This came off Antares' body, and the entire dragon scale seemed to be decaying and losing its luster. The vitality on the dragon's scales was wiped away. In other words, this dragon scale is dead. It was obviously a piece of dragon scale that grew on Antares, but it died. It sounds so incredible. The death characteristic in the law of undead. It can annihilate all living things. This is really scary. Antares was taken aback. No wonder I don't feel anything at all. It turns out that this dragon scale is already dead. Brat, your laws are both offensive and defensive, very powerful. You don't need to use other laws to carry the spells. If you study the laws of your spells thoroughly, it will be enough for you. Antares warned solemnly. It means that Lin Moyu should not aim too high, know everything, it is better to specialize in one. Lin Moyu said, I will continue to comprehend the law of immortality, and the law of time. I will also comprehend it when I have time later. The law of the first echelon, how can I let it go? In the soul world, this skill star core is burning and has turned into a ball of fire. A sorcery star is about to form. Antares stared at the fire again. It still has 4 chances to watch the little black dot. If I want to watch it again in the future, I don't know that it will take a year of the monkey, and if it doesn't work out, I won't have another chance for the rest of my life. Antares was already concentrating and did not dare to be distracted. Boom! In a powerful explosion, trap stars rose from the flames. At the same time, a strange feeling spread throughout the body. Its status immunity. The last passive skill. Only when the passive skill becomes a magic star will it give Lin Moyu this feeling. Passive skills are resident, always present, and effective. This is even more so after being converted into a spell, and it will even exist in the soul. Status immunity, fusion 3.6 100%. The master and his summons are immune to all negative states, including spells, arrays, enchantments, curses, and negative laws. It doesn't look like much has changed, but as the master of spells, Lin Moyu knows that the changes are too great. In the past, immunity to negative states was basically immunity to curse-type skills, excluding formations and enchantments. Naturally, it is impossible to include curses of laws. But this time is different. After transforming into a star-level spell, not only is it immune to the formation, but also the negative state caused by the enchantment, and even the curse-like laws. While rejoicing, Lin Moyu also knows that spells are not omnipotent. The array used by the Dragon Emperor did not cause any negative state, but used the array to squeeze the air, creating an effect similar to restraint. This is not immune. Although the technique is strong, it is not omnipotent, and it still cannot be taken lightly. Lin Moyu glanced at the burning spell star, and rushed into the skill space again. The last three skill star cores hang alone in the skill space. Summon the Skeleton Dragon, Resurrection of the Dead, Infinite Fusion. The last 3 skills, I don't know if it's a coincidence, are the 3 skills that can only be mastered at level 80. Level 80 skills are often called the strongest skills by other professionals, and some people even exaggerately call them ultimate skills. Lin Moyu also has to admit that these 3 skills are really powerful. Especially the last, Infinite Fusion, its existence makes the skills have infinite possibilities. Dozens of skills, combined with each other, can have endless combinations. What kind of effect will appear in the end is unknown. The soul power has grabbed one of them and dragged it out of the skill space. The whole process went smoothly, and the restraining force of the skill space still did not cause any hindrance. Lin Moyu broke free from the restraint with just a little effort. There is still a lot of soul power to spare. Lin Moyu feels that at this level, he can completely empty the skill star core. The skill star core enters the soul world, and immediately begins to focus on soul power. Antares was already ready. It still used the power of the first level of the god level. This time it did not use the bone armor for defense. Each hit can cause the O2 undead army to collapse 3 times. After 2 consecutive hits, the full-scale newborn talent is activated. If Lin Moyu used the bone armor, with the first order attack of the true god level, it would take 3 hits to activate the talent. If you count the undead lich, you need 4 hits. After the talent is activated, the skill resets. It takes 4 more repetitions of the same attack within a minute to actually kill Lin Moyu. It is not easy for a true god to attack 8 times in a row using soul tracking at the first level within 1 minute. Lin Moyu is not wood and cannot dodge. Undead wings cuts off soul lock, cuts off soul tracking. Even Antares had to sigh, the life-saving ability of this guy is really invincible at the same level. The soul force is filled with the skill star core, and the trapped star jumps out of the flames of the big explosion. The soul power is fed back, and the soul level has been slightly improved again. Lin Moyu felt that his soul level had reached the limit of level 94. There are still 2 skill star cores left, and after converting them all into spell stars, Lin Moyu feels that his soul level can reach level 95. Every time the soul level is raised, the combat power can be greatly increased. After the magic star was lifted into the sky, it quickly flew towards the summoning multi-star magic system, and it had already joined it in a blink of an eye. The soul world shook violently again. Summon the skeleton dragon, fusion 100%, summon the skeleton dragon, which usually hibernates in the stars, connects to the undead world, and can come to the present world when needed. The combat power of the Death Knight will be determined according to the master's soul level. With the emergence of this technique, the dragon's lair attribute disappeared. The skeleton dragon also appeared on the magic star, waiting for Lin Moyu's call. 7-star spell. Lin Moyu looked at the 7 intertwined and rotating stars, and couldn't help feeling excited. 7-star level summoning spells form the 7-star spell system. The power of spells has been greatly enhanced again. The limit of a single spell is comparable to Lin Moyu's soul level. But when the 3-star spell begins, the limit of the trap can break through the shackles of the soul level. Afterwards, every time 1 star is added, the power of the technique can be multiplied. When it came to the 7-star technique, Lin Moyu didn't know how strong his summoning skills were. He hadn't tried it, and he wanted to save the surprise for the last. Unobtrusively glanced at the spell planet representing Summon Skeleton King. If it can also become a spell star and join in, it will be a real 8-star spell. In the big world, the 10-star spell is a legend that no one has ever seen. There are very few 9-star spells, and there are only a handful of them. 8-star spells are already among the top. Lin Moyu didn't expect too much. Sooner or later, I will complete the 8-star spell. It is much more difficult to upgrade planetary level spells to star level than the first sublimation transformation, but it is not impossible. Lin Moyu is confident that he can do it. There are still 2 skill star cores left. Lin Moyu, the bandit, came to the skill space again and dragged away one forcefully. This time, the skill space obviously resisted. The binding power has increased a lot, but Lin Moyu's soul power is stronger. After a stalemate for a while, they finally dragged out with silent words. Antares asked in a deep voice, "There are only 2 left, right?" Lin Moyu smiled slightly. "Aren't you reluctant?" Lin Moyu knew this guy and wanted to see more of that little black spot. "Although I don't know what is in the little black dot, it is very important anyway." Antares sighed, "Yeah, after watching it twice, I don't know if I can see it again." While injecting soul power, Lin Moyu asked, "Except for the time when the skill transforms into a star, can't you see it at other times?" "That's not true, it's just more difficult, anyway, it's too far away from you." Lin Moyu didn't ask any further questions. "Let's say it's far away, and it will be reached sooner or later." Pointing to the remaining few magic planets, "There are 3 magic planets over there that have the opportunity to convert into stars, and you can still see them at that time." Antares shook his head. "It's difficult. If you miss the first opportunity, it will be countless times more difficult to convert later." "Try it, I am confident." "Well, you can do it." The soul power was exhausted again, and Antares started working immediately. The 2 have cooperated so many times, which can be regarded as a tacit cooperation. One side is to kill quickly, and the Japanese side is to die quickly. Between life and death, talent plays a role with brilliant purple light. After 2 rounds, the sorcery star forms in the flames. Under the feedback of soul power, the soul level has touched the bottleneck of level 95, and a little more can break through. After the magic star was formed, it did not lift off, but flew straight in one direction. How come? It turns out. Lin Moyu was shocked. This spell star skill flew directly into the multi-star spell of the summoning class, and naturally blended into it, forming an 8-star spell in an instant. This change caught Lin Moyu off guard. He didn't expect that the resurrection of the Great One also belonged to the summoning category. The soul world vibrated violently again, and it was even stronger than the previous few times. 8 stars revolve around and emit brilliant light. In their center, the law of undead is manifested more clearly. Huge power swept the entire soul world, and the 8-star spell seemed to be announcing its existence to the soul world. Their light merged together and became extremely blazing, overwhelming the light of all other stars. Resurrection of the dead, fusion 100%, use the corpse or soul as the medium to revive the target within a certain period of time. The resurrected person will have the strength of the peak period of life, retain the memory of life, and receive bonuses from spells and talents. The master has absolute control over the resurrected, and can manipulate the thoughts and behaviors of the resurrected at will. The longest existence time of the resurrected is determined by the master's soul level. Close black lens bracket. After skills became spells, the changes were huge. In the past, Lin Moyu could only resurrect the dead. The dead would lose their memories of life and could only obey simple orders. But now, the resurrected person will have the memory of his life and the strength of his peak period. If the addition of skills and talents is counted, the strength of the resurrected person is stronger than before. The most important thing is that the resurrected will absolutely obey Lin Moyu's orders, and Lin Moyu can also manipulate the memory, behavior, and even thoughts of the resurrected. The existence time is no longer limited to 24 hours, but is determined by Lin Moyu's soul level. How long it can exist, Lin Moyu is not clear. But Lin Moyu can feel that this technique is simply terrifying to the extreme. Antares looked at the 8-star spell and was silently in a daze. When encountering something surprising in the past, Antares' eyes would show a bit of shock. This time, it seemed a little numb. Lin Moyu asked strangely, "Have you never seen the 8-star spell?" "I haven't seen it." Antares responded instinctively. It seems that there are really few 8-star spells, and even Antares has never seen them. If Summon the Skeleton King can also be brought over, it can become a 9-star spell. In addition to the legendary 10-star spell, the 9-star spell is the strongest. "I still have a chance." Antares also realized this, and said seriously to Lin Moyu, "In the future, you must come up with a 9-star spell. It is said that the 9-star technique is very powerful, and it will cause some wonderful things. It's a pity that I haven't seen it before." Lin Moyu said, "When I make a 9-star spell, I will let you appreciate it together." How could such a small request not be agreed? The 9-star technique must be completed, and Lin Moyu knows that this is also a step that he must take on the road to becoming a strong man. Feel the remaining soul power. According to previous experience, it is almost enough to carry the skill star core. There is only a single skill star core left in the skill space here, and the whole space seems extremely empty. All the constraints of the skill space are concentrated on the last skill star core. But this time, Lin Moyu's soul power is not as abundant as before. When Lin Moyu's soul power turned into a giant palm and held the skill star core, the two sides began to wrestle. Lin Moyu moved the skill star core out again and again, and the skill space has suffered so many grievances. All broke out at this moment. The two sides kept pulling and refusing to give in to each other. Most of Lin Moyu's soul power is used to maintain the soul world, to maintain the magic stars. There is not much left over. The skill star core moves very slowly, and the sun is pulled out bit by bit. Lin Moyu showed his desperate spirit again, desperately pulling the skill star core. It doesn't matter if the speed is slow, as long as you can move it. Lin Moyu is not afraid of being slow. He can also choose an easier method, that is to upgrade to another level, and then come to carry it. It will be easy then. Lin Moyu has his own plans, and he still has to go to the talent world, so he must leave enough killing stars for himself. After 2 full days of extreme pulling, the last skill star core was finally pulled out of the skill space. After losing all the skill star cores, the skill space exploded with a bang. Lin Moyu was shaken all over his body, the skill space exploded, and the burst energy turned into a torrent that swept across his body and rushed into the soul world. 9-colored dragon's soul crystal uttered a loud and clear dragon chant, and sucked violently at the billowing energy. Huge energy was blown in, and after a few breaths, huge and refined soul power spewed out from Keilong soul crystal's mouth. The soul is like taking a big tonic, the soul power soars, and the soul level smashes the barrier of level 95 in an instant. The soul level is not only the level of stepping into level 95, but also a long way from level 95 to level 96. Lin Moyu was taken aback at first, but then figured out why. The skill space originally belonged to him, just like the soul world. The root of the skill space is his own soul power. This is also why one's own soul power can enter the skill space, but others cannot. It is more illusory and ethereal than the soul world. Every time I move the skill star core, I actually wrestle with my soul. When all the skill star cores are emptied, the skill space loses its meaning of existence. So it exploded and returned the soul power to the soul itself. Then it was tempered and purified by the 9-colored dragon soul crystal, which finally contributed to the improvement of the soul level. Lin Moyu dragged the last skill star core back to the soul world. Start injecting soul power to ignite the skill star core. As soon as the soul force entered, Lin Moyu felt something was wrong. There is a problem with this skill star core. This time the feeling is completely different from before. The soul force entered it, like a mud cow entering the sea, without the slightest feeling. The skill star core did become brighter, but not to a great extent. When all the soul power was injected, it only lit up less than 10%. Antares also noticed this situation, with a serious expression on his face. This skill of yours should be very strong. The more powerful the skill, the more soul power it needs. Lin Moyu nodded. The previous skills also have strengths and weaknesses, but the overall difference is not that big. But this time it's different. As Lin Moyu's last mastered skill, Infinite Fusion, seems to bring infinite possibilities. It's powerful and unpredictable. Antares said, if it was someone else, it would be impossible for this skill star core to be transformed into a star-level spell, but you. Amidst the strange laughter, Antares slapped him with a slap. The two sides began to cooperate with each other again. Antares beat hard, Lin Moyu died hard. Died again, and the full rebirth talent was activated again and again. The skill star core of Infinite Fusion was slowly ignited, and Lin Moyu became more and more excited. Lin Moyu really wants to see how powerful it can be when it is transformed into a magic star. Needless to say, it must be an extremely heaven-defying technique. Antares said while playing, I've never heard of such a powerful skill. I really don't know what's going on with your profession. How can you master this level of skills? You're such a freak. Lin Moyu smiled. A freak is a freak, whatever you want. Finally, after more than 10 rounds, even Antares was tired, and the skill star core finally turned into a ball of fire. The unique skill star core, even the flame it burns is different. Gold, purple, silver, white, blue, red. ... All kinds of flames appeared continuously, intertwined with each other, colorful, intertwined into a color that cannot be described in words. This complex color is mesmerizing to watch. Antares was also a little fascinated. It's really strange. Lin Moyu nodded. It was indeed strange. Boom! The flame exploded, and colorful flames swept the entire soul world. All the magic stars and magic planets are stained with colorful flames. It seems that at this moment, all the magic stars are connected with it. Small black spots appeared during the explosion, but this time the small black spots lasted more than half a second. It lasted for a full 10 seconds before disappearing. 10 seconds is not a short time, it is a long time for Lin Moyu, especially for Antares. Antares was fascinated by it, and didn't know what he saw. Lin Moyu also finally saw something different in 10 seconds. The small black spot expanded infinitely in his line of sight, becoming extremely deep. Then, he saw a rune. A rune that glows purple. This rune is extremely complicated, but extremely simple. This rune seems to interpret all the Zhilizi in the whole world. It stands tall and defies everything. The moment he saw it, Lin Moyu knew its identity, Great World Rune. It is the big world rune that all invincible powerhouses are pursuing. Master it, and you can control the whole world. Lin Moyu saw countless runes derived from it, and each rune is a law, an irresistible force. The big world rune on his body is a part of it. Lin Moyu just glanced at it, the picture was shattered, and his consciousness was driven out by a huge force. Severe pain came from the soul, so painful that Lin Moyu couldn't help but let out a scream. Soul broken. Lin Moyu's soul level is too low, so low that he is completely unqualified to spy on the runes of the big world. Originally, he really had no chance to see the Great World Rune. But when the special skill star core turned into a star, the small black spot that should have lasted only half a second lasted for a full 10 seconds. Let Lin Moyu have the opportunity to really take a peek at the appearance of the runes in the big world. For Lin Moyu, this is a great opportunity. If he can gain something, he will benefit for life. Lin Moyu did see something, but his soul was broken because of it. Fortunately, the talent of comprehensive rebirth is enough to defy the sky, and the soul is reborn in the purple light. It's just that the speed of new students this time is very slow, dozens of times slower than usual. After being reborn, the soul failed to return to its peak state, feeling extremely weak. Lin Moyu felt scared for a while. In the process of rebirth, it seems that there is an invisible force stopping me. For a while, Lin Moyu almost felt that he could not be resurrected. The comprehensive freshman talent, since the beginning of use, has never encountered such a thing. The big world rune is too terrifying, far beyond his level. In addition to being afraid, there are bursts of rejoicing. Glad I escaped. Surviving a catastrophe brings blessings, and Lin Moyu has really seen something. Great world rune, it hurts. Lin Moyu saw that the big world rune was full of cracks. Who can injure the great world rune? That's a lot of power to do it. Just looking at it, my soul 950 collapsed. Such a powerful great world rune, representing the existence of the most powerful force in the great world, was actually broken. There are too many secrets in this world. The secret of his own little world has not been completely solved, and he saw a bigger secret. Lin Moyu didn't know what Antares saw. It shouldn't have seen the crack on the great world rune. In Antares' mind, the great world rune is the supreme existence and invincible. If the rune of the great world is broken by someone, it will definitely be surprised, and even its faith will collapse. Brilliant and colorful rays of light fell down, illuminating the entire soul world into a colorful and gorgeous world. Lin Moyu opened his eyes, and saw a multicolored magic star. It is its radiance that turns the whole soul world into colorful. It rises slowly, crossing all the spell stars, and reaching the highest point. With arrogance, he looked down at all other magic stars. It stands tall and bows its head only for Lin Moyu. The light gradually faded, because the soul world began to restore its original appearance. Infinite fusion, fusion 100%, all spells and rules can be fused to create new spells and rules. Not only can you fuse techniques, but you can also fuse laws. And it can also create new techniques and new rules. In this world, does such a thing against the sky really exist? Create the law. Is that something humans can do? Before Lin Moyu recovered from the shock, he clearly felt a strange aura emanating from the infinite fusion magic star. Lin Moyu's first reaction was that it was the breath of law. But after careful identification, it feels different. Plausible, not clear. Fusion law. Lin Moyu immediately wanted to try to integrate the laws. His eyes fell on the two multi-star spell systems. Skeletal spells represent the dead side of the law of immortality. Summoning spells represent the living side of the law of immortality. The combination of the two is the real law of immortality. In the process of comprehension, I also tried to integrate the two together, but I have not been able to succeed, and there is always something missing. If the two are fused together through infinite fusion technique, maybe. His eyes kept flickering, and finally he could only let out a long sigh. Now I can't drive the law of undead freely, and I can't test it. What a strange magic star. Antares finally woke up. It looked very excited, in a good mood, and obviously gained a lot. Lin Moyu asked, "What did the big world rune teach you?" What? Antares couldn't understand for a while. Lin Moyu said, "Isn't the big world rune in the little black dot?" Antares' expression changed. "How did you know?" "I didn't remember telling you." Lin Moyu said casually, "Just allow you to see it." "I saw it too." Antares thought that the little black spot lasted for a full 10 seconds just now. "You can indeed see it at your Akba soul level, but it's useless to see it. I can't feel anything." Lin Moyu also looked serious. "Indeed, the big world rune is too mysterious and powerful. It generates countless runes, and each rune is a law. I looked at it and felt so insignificant. My soul collapsed just by looking at it, and my talent almost didn't bring me back to life." "Wait." Antares interrupted Lin Moyu. "You mean, you saw the body of the great world rune?" Lin Moyu said strangely, "Yes." Antares groaned. "Impossible. How could you see the body of the great world rune? How could you see it?" "I don't know." Lin Moyu looked innocent. At this point in the conversation, Lin Moyu is 100% sure that Antares must have never seen the body of the great world rune. In the first few sentences of the dialogue, Lin Moyu was just testing. If Antares had seen the body of the great world rune, he would not be so surprised. If you really saw it, Antares should be able to know, because the world runes are full of cracks. Obviously, it's not clear. Antares kept murmuring, "Impossible, how can you see the font of the great world rune? This is unreasonable and does not conform to the rules. The shock any time in the past is not as good as this time." This time Antares couldn't figure it out by himself. Seeing the meaning of the big world rune text is too great to imagine. Seeing Antares' shocked look, Lin Moyu said again, maybe I misread it. Antares glared at Lin Moyu, you must have read it wrong. At your soul level, you can only see the phantom of the great world rune at most, and then see some rule runes derived from it. Yes, that must be the case. Antares is constantly grooming himself. Lin Moyu sighed secretly, so he didn't tell it that the Great World article was full of scars. Otherwise it will really collapse the faith. Sometimes it's strange, the stronger the existence, the stronger their beliefs. The Great World Rune is the pursuit of all strong people, and almost all invincible strong people are pursuing to master the Great World Rune. In their belief, the Great World Rune is the strongest existence and the truth. But strangely enough, they can set themselves up against the Great World Rune for trying to take control of the Great World Rune. This is not blasphemy, but an affirmation of oneself. But no matter what they do, it will not affect the status of the Great World Rune in their minds. The same is true for Antares. When it was lucky to win the Great World Rune once, Lin Moyu remembered how crazy and excited it was. But that lucky victory did not affect the status of the Great World Rune in Antares' mind. That is its ultimate pursuit. This is a very contradictory mentality. Lin Moyu does not have this kind of thinking, he does not have the corresponding awe for the big world runes. Lin Moyu felt that maybe it was because he was not strong enough. What will happen in the future is not clear. Lin Moyu said, stop thinking about it, and help me see what this is. So weird. Antares looked at Infinite Fusion, and felt its breath. Infinite Fusion, the magic star is different, and various colors are intertwined on it. All the colors in the world seem to be found on it. Whether it's the appearance or the breath it emits, it makes it look different. Unlike every other sorcery star. It seems to be the law, but it's not quite like it. What is it? Let me see. A huge eye appeared in Lin Moyu's soul world. Shenlong Haoyan, one of the secret arts of the Dragon Clan. In the eyes of Shenlong Hui, even the big world runes hidden in the deepest part of the soul can be seen. Antares is very confident, there is nothing that the dragon's eyes cannot see. Shenlong gazed at it, wanting to see through its essence. Suddenly, Lin Moyu saw Shenlong Haoyan shrank, and accompanied by Antares' strange cry, Shenlong Haoyan exploded with a bang. The divine dragon's eyes collapsed, and Antares' soul clone was affected and became illusory. Lin Moyu hurriedly asked, are you all right? It's okay, no problem. A few seconds later, the illusory soul clone recondensed, and Antares felt lingering fear. Boy, I think calling you a monster is an understatement. Lin Moyu looked puzzled. What's wrong? What's the matter? Guess what? Your technique shows the law. Yes, it's just a legendary law. The legendary law. Yes, the law in the legend. It has appeared in the legend, but no one has ever comprehended it. Lin Moyu asked, is that strong? Stronger than the law of time? Antares snorted, since it hasn't appeared, naturally there is no way to know its strength. The law of time has been comprehended, but no one has comprehended yours, you understand? Lin Moyu asked, you know what, don't be a fool, what is the law? Antares slowly spit out 4 words, the law of chaos. The law of chaos. Then what's the use of it? Lin Moyu couldn't understand its function literally. In the legend, the law of chaos is the law that existed at the beginning of the world. But it never appeared again. I also saw it in the records of the family by chance. It is said that the law of chaos is all-encompassing, and omnipotent. Although I haven't seen the law of chaos, I should be right, this is the law. Your law of immortality itself is very strong, and it also manifests the law of time, and now there is a law of chaos. You said, what are you if you are not a monster? Antares said a lot, but Lin Moyu ignored him at all. Judging from the magical effect of infinite fusion, it is indeed very similar to the legendary law of chaos. But whether it is true or not, Antares is not completely sure, it can only be said that it is very possible. Whether it is or not, Lin Moyu can only accept it. It is best if it is, it doesn't matter if it is not, anyway, there is the law of time, it is already strong enough. Lin Moyu pays more attention to the effect of infinite fusion spell, rather than the rules it carries. However, a single magic star can have laws, which is enough to prove its strength. Let's test it out. It was hard to wait until all the skills were transformed into spells. Lin Moyu really wanted to know what level his strength had reached. How many shackles have been broken by multi-star spells for a level 95 soul? How powerful is the 8-star spell? Not only Lin Moyu wanted to know, Antaraba wanted to know. Among them, the skeleton skills have already been tried, so there is no need to try again. Lin Moyu began to experiment with summoning skills. The horror of the linkage between spells and spells was completely exposed at this moment. Lin Moyu, who was the instigator, was too shocked to speak. He just summoned a skeleton god warrior. As the first summoned object of Lin Moyu, the skeleton warrior has an unusual meaning. Even the appearance of more and more powerful summoners later on did not change the status of the skeleton god warrior in his mind. When the first skeleton god warrior appeared, the spell linkage was activated. Then, skeleton god mage, skeleton soul archer, lich general, death knight, skeleton dragon, appeared. The speed of appearance is very fast, and the interval is at most 0.01 seconds. In the blink of an eye, the ground was full of undead. The sky is also full of skeleton dragons, shuffling through the grey fog. A loud and clear dragon chant resounded through the ancient battlefield. Antares stared blankly at Lin Moyu, and Lin Moyu stared blankly at it. In just a few minutes, they have been surrounded by the undead army. In just a few minutes, tens of thousands of undead have appeared. Antares was shocked. What did you do? Lin Moyu said, summon a skull god warrior. Only one. Just one. Antares was silent, and Lin Moyu was also silent. After being silent for a full minute, Antares couldn't help cursing, pervert. Lin Moyu nodded, it's really a bit perverted. The summoning is still going on, and the 8-star spell has no intention of stopping at all. The mental power is constantly being consumed, but with the increase of the undead, the mental power is not consumed at all, but more and more. It's like, while a bucket is pouring water out, the bucket is still changing, and at the same time, it's still pouring water into it crazily. 0. Ask for flowers. The speed of water injection far exceeds the speed of pouring water. The full connection talent is also showing its horror at this moment. If there is no such talent, the linkage between law and law would have been interrupted long ago. Lin Moyu no longer knew what to say, and he knew when to stop. The first time I encountered this situation, I was completely at a loss. As long as it comes, it will be safe. Lin Moyu simply ignored it and began to look at the property. Skeleton Warrior. Level, 97. Tell, Death Attack. Death Attack, drive the power of the law to cause a death attack on the target. Rule, the law of immortality, death. The 8-star spell system breaks through the skeleton god warrior, which should have been level 95, to level 97. With a difference of 3 levels, the strength has changed drastically. The attribute disappeared, not invisible, but disappeared in the true sense. The conversion of skills into spells has fundamentally changed. Now the combat power of the skeletons no longer depends on attributes. A level 97 skeleton god warrior can display a level 97 combat power. There is indeed a law on the skeleton, the law of immortality. The law of immortality has 2 sides, life and death, and summoning spells have the side of life. But the law of immortality is that in life there is death, and in death there is life. Summoning the undead is the life side, but the undead fight is the dead side. Lin Moyu and Antares were tested. With the bonus of talent, the combat power of the skeleton god warrior has broken through the level limit. The actual combat power has reached level 98. No weaker than any level 98 professional. Antares said, it is true that there is no need to carry external laws, the laws themselves are strong enough. Laws are more expensive than fine, and if one law can be used to the extreme, it is already a very powerful existence. Those who are really strong, the difference between them is only the strength of the law. Antares is spoken from experience and what Lin Moyu needed. Then Lin Moyu tested the skeleton god mage, soul shooter, and death knight. The skeleton god mage regards the death side in the law as an element, and can lock the soul for ultra-long distance attacks. Although it is not as powerful as the skeleton god warrior, it is superior in that it can strike from a distance. The soul shooter directly uses the law to attack the soul. The soul is fragile, especially in the face of the attack of the law. The soul shooter changed suddenly, but became the most lethal and most terrifying member of the undead army. The attack power of Death Knights is slightly greater than that of skeletons, and their rushing skills have become instinctive, with a speed exceeding 10,000 meters per second. When advancing at full strength, the speed is as high as 100,000 meters per second. In a one-on-one fight, any kind of skeleton is inferior to a Death Knight. The experiment is still going on. Summoning spells are Lin Moyu's signature. Lin Moyu needs to know the strength of each unit of the undead army in detail. The tests of Skeleton God Warrior, Skeleton God Mage, and Skeleton Soul Shooter will end soon. All three have their own characteristics. Coupled with the Death Knight just formed a well-organized legion. Next it was the Lich General's turn. General Lich used to be the commander-in-chief of the undead army. Most of the orders from Lin Moyu were sent to General Lich first, and General Lich would then conduct unified command. At the same time, the Lich General can also provide various bonuses for treatment. After many battles, if there is no Lich General, the undead army will be wiped out countless times. The existence of the Lich General has greatly improved the survivability of the undead army, and also greatly improved the survivability of Lin Moyu. It can be said that as long as the undead army cannot be destroyed with one blow, it is unlikely to destroy the undead army. As long as the undead army, 133, does not collapse, Lin Moyu will be fine. Antares' evaluation is, as long as it is not a true god-level attack, it is more difficult to kill this guy than to comprehend the law of time. There may be some exaggerated elements, but it really shows how strong Lin Moyu's ability to survive is. The Lich General used to have no combat power, and had no characteristics except for his strong defense and vitality. After it can be transformed into a technique, General Lich has undergone a change. Based on the original foundation, he has the ability to fight. Lich General. Level, 97. Tells, Ultimate Strengthening, Ultimate Healing, Lich Whispering. Extreme Strengthening, use the power of the law to indiscriminately strengthen all members of the Undead Legion, increase the attack power by 100%, increase the defense power by 100%, and increase the speed by 100%. 1. Extreme Healing, drive the power of the law to heal all members of the Undead Legion, and instantly restore huge vitality. Lich Whispering, drive the power of the law to cause double damage to the target's body and soul. Rule, Law of Immortality, Death, Law of Immortality, Life. There is also no attribute, but the Lich General has more spells. Ultimate Strengthening and Ultimate Healing are the same as the previous Legion Strengthening and Legion Healing. Now it has changed from skill to technique, and after incorporating the power of law, it has become even more powerful. These two auxiliary skills use the life side of the Law of Immortality. At the same time, the Lich General also added a Lich Whispering spell, which can use the dead side of the Law of Immortality to deal a double blow to the target's body and soul. After testing, the physical damage of Lich General's spells is slightly worse than that of Skeleton God Warrior and Skeleton God Mage, and far worse than that of Death Knight. Soul Attack is not as good as Soul Shooter. But when the two are added together, the combined damage exceeds any kind of undead. The Lich General also has one of the most important features, that is, commanding the undead army. Lin Moyu's orders can be issued through them instead of reaching every undead. Each Lich General can rule over 100,000 undead legions. In this way, even if it is an army of millions of undead, Lin Moyu's order only needs to be conveyed to 10 Lich Generals. For the manipulation of the undead army, the difficulty has been greatly reduced. The last is the test of the Skeleton Dragon. Bone Dragon. Level, 97. Tell, Deadly Dragon's Breath. Deadly Dragon Breath, drive the power of law, breathe out Dragon Breath, and cause devastating continuous damage to targets within the range. Rule, the Law of Immortality, Death. The giant skeleton dragon kept tossing and shuttling through the clouds and mist, its body burning with silver-white flames. There is grey gas in the flame, revealing the breath of the Law of Immortality. During this period of testing, the linkage between spells and spells was still going on, and now even Lin Moyu didn't know how many undead had been summoned. Anyway, the sky and the earth are all there, and you can't see the end at a glance. Antares is too lazy to take care of it. You love stretching. Once you get on this thief boat, you won't be able to get off for a while. Not only is the home occupied, but it is also being targeted. Who can tell the pain in my heart? Bone Dragon's tests were quickly completed. In terms of damage, the Bone Dragon's damage is the strongest among all Lin Moyu's summons. It has reached the peak level of level 98. It is only a little bit short of entering level 99, stepping into the half-step super god level. At present, the Skeleton Dragon alone is not the opponent of the half-step super god. But when did Lin Moyu fight alone? Looking at the densely packed skeleton dragons in the sky, Antares silently mourned for Lin Moyu's future enemies for 3 seconds in his heart. Okay, let's try the strongest combat power of the undead army. Previous tests were only based on talent bonuses, not the strongest state of the undead army. Lin Moyu didn't take care of calculating the total number of undead legions for the time being, but ordered Lich General to bless the nearby undead. All elemental liches also appear. Although there are only 3 spell-level liches, no matter what, they must be summoned first. From this moment on, the undead army reached its strongest state. Antares became a target again. After some tests, Antares is sure that the undead army already has the ability to confront the super god level head-on. Antares looked at Lin Moyu like a monster. Your real combat power is already comparable to that of a super god, but you are only level 88, what a monster. Lin Moyu shook his head. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. Antares was taken aback. Look. Lin Moyu started his showmanship. When a Death Knight merges with a skeleton dragon, the 3 skeletons merge with each other. 2 brand new undead units appeared in front of Antares. Antares remembered that Lin Moyu had used this skill before, but the effect was mediocre and then he gave up. Now, everything has been transformed into a technique, so you can really try it out. Death Dragon Knight. Level, 98. Skills, Deadly Dragon Breath, Death Rush. Deadly Dragon Breath, drive the power of law, breathe out Dragon Breath, and cause devastating continuous damage to targets within the range. Death Rush, rush at a speed of 50,000 meters per second, using the power of law as the front, causing huge damage to the target. Rule, the law of immortality, death. After testing, the Death Dragon Knight, formed by the fusion of Death Knight and Skeleton Dragon, has almost reached the peak of half-step super god after comprehensive addition. For example, the Dragon Emperor and Demon Emperor, without using super god level weapons, can at most draw with a dozen Death Dragon Knights. But how many Death Dragon Knights are there? Lin Moyu hasn't counted yet. Finally, Lin Moyu's eyes fell on the Skeleton General. During the skills demonstration, Lin Moyu still remembers the Skull God 3.4 who appeared last. 3 kinds of skeletons, 100 of each kind, finally formed a giant skeleton with a height of more than 10 meters. In terms of body shape, it is not as good as the Skeleton King, but if it is breathless, it does not know how many blocks the Skeleton King has left. Skeleton General. Level, 99. Tell, Destruction. Destruction, drive the power of law to cause a devastating blow to the target. Rule, the law of immortality, death. The Skeleton God will surpass the Death Dragon Knight in terms of level and destructive power, and is the pinnacle of the real half-step super god. It is fully capable of one-on-one with the Dragon Emperor and Demon Emperor, and it is Lin Moyu's strongest summon at present. Lin Moyu thought of the Skeleton King. If summoned Skeleton King also formed a spell star and formed a 9-star spell, maybe the Skeleton King would be strengthened again. In the Soul World, Lin Moyu glanced at the magic planet belonging to summon the Skeleton King, and suddenly let out a surprise. In the Soul World, there is something more. Lin Moyu glanced casually and saw an unusual change in the Soul World. In the Soul World, at some point, 2 small air masses appeared. These 2 small air masses are revolving around the Infinite Fusion spell star. The air mass is not yet fully formed and looks illusory. Infinite Fusion, the magic star releases light, covering these 2 small air masses, making them stable. Thinking of the magic effect of Infinite Fusion, I found that these 2 air masses are exactly the 2 magic spells of Skeleton God General and Death Dragon Knight. Death Dragon Knight, a new technique created by combining the Skeleton Dragon and the Death Knight, combining the advantages of both. Skeleton God General, a new technique created by combining the Skeleton God Warrior, Skeleton God Mage, and Skeleton Soul Shooter. These are 2 new spells created by Infinite Fusion. Because it has just been created, it is still very weak. However, as spells are used more and more times, they will become stronger and stronger, and eventually become stars of spells. And the power of spells will definitely increase accordingly. Thinking of this, Lin Moyu couldn't help feeling excited. The combinations of spells are endless, and you can create countless spells, and even countless O2 rules. This is the real strongest technique. Infinite possibilities, infinite future. Lin Moyu couldn't wait to create spells. But in the end, I still endured it. After all, it takes a lot of time to create spells, and there is no time to waste at present. Fortunately, during the skill demonstration, that unknown existence gave himself some demonstrations. Death Dragon Knight, Skeleton God General, and Elemental Giant were not created by himself, but he learned them by imitating cats and tigers. In addition, there is another technique, the technique that activates the law of time. Lin Moyu used infinite fusion, again to combine soul burning, soul curse, and soul poison. Pointing towards Antares. The law of time thundered and landed on Antares. A dragon scale on Antares showed signs of decay, as if after a long time. The soul attack ability of the 3-star technique is good, and it can almost hurt a half-step super god. Although the law of time is very strong, you are too weak. It's not very useful when you encounter a super god level. Overall, it's not as good as your summoning skills. After all, the soul-type spells are only 3-star spells, which are far from the summon-type 8-star spells. The 3-star technique still can't break Lin Moyu's soul shackles, so the power it can exert is relatively limited. But Lin Moyu is confident that when his soul level rises in the future, the power of this spell will increase accordingly. Look at the soul world again, and sure enough, beside the infinite fusion magic star, there is another yet to be formed magic cloud. Curse of Time. It is formed by the fusion of soul burning, soul curse, and soul poison. Drive the law of time based on the respective functions of the 3 skills, curse the target, and speed up the time flow rate of the target itself. The maximum flow rate of time is determined by the soul level. Just as Lin Moyu thought, it was indeed because of his soul level that limited the power of spells. Then Lin Moyu conducted a series of tests on the rest of his techniques. In the end, he fully understood his level of strength. He already has the qualifications to challenge the first-order super god head-on. Even if he can't kill the first-order super god, he can protect himself without worry. Even if it is the 9th level of super god, it is very difficult to kill oneself. After all, he is only level 88 now, and his soul level is only level 95. It is terrifying to have such combat power. Or if it is a little bit stronger, it may be able to counter/super god. The linkage of summoning spells finally stopped, and finally no more summoning. The number of undead legions seems to have reached the current limit. Antares said in a strange tone, "Your boy has finally calmed down." Lin Moyu smiled slightly. "I didn't expect this either." Quote, looking at the dense army of undead in the sky and underground, even Lin Moyu, the master, didn't know the exact number. Before Lin Moyu could count by himself, Antares had already shouted, "Don't count, I've already counted for you." 3 types of skeletons, 360,000 each. The rider and the big guy are 180,000. Bone dragons are the least, only 90,000. Antares' count certainly not wrong. The skeletons are 360,000 each, for a total of 1.08 million. Death Knights and Lich Generals are 180,000 each, reaching 360,000. 50,000 skeleton dragons. Excluding the least number of elemental liches, the total number of undead legions has reached 1.49 million. It was raised more than 4 times before. The increase in the number of the undead army also means the overall improvement of Lin Moyu. Whether it is survivability or real combat power, great changes have taken place. Now Lin Moyu felt that even if the first-order true god wanted to kill him, he might not be able to collapse the undead army collectively with one blow. The strength is not what it used to be. With a thought, Lin Moyu put away all the undead. Dense black spots appeared on several magic stars, which were already filled by undead. Lin Moyu pondered, the number of undead is the limit of my current level, not the limit of spells. As my level increases, the soul world will become larger, and the magic star will also become larger and stronger, which can accommodate more undead. In the skill demonstration, the undead filled the starry sky, and He Zheng was mere millions. There are more than tens of millions. The technique is far from reaching the limit, it's just that he has reached the limit. There was no sound of bones rubbing against the undead, and the surroundings became quiet again. Antares sighed, "This world is quiet." Lin Moyu smiled slightly, "Now can you tell me how to get the talent out?" The method of getting talent out was invented by the Chosen Clan, and the Chosen Clan was almost wiped out because of this. Later, in order to keep their own race, they had to announce this method. Antares laughed and said, "Actually, their method is very simple, and it's not a secret technique, it's just a very stupid and rustic method. Although the method is simple, it is quite difficult to do it. Among the various ethnic groups, there are actually not many that can be done." Lin Moyu was surprised. The method is simple and the process is difficult. "Tell me, I will try it." Antares smirked, "It's good to try. Actually, the method is that the soul body enters the talent world, and then just take out the talent. In essence, it is no different from the ability to carry the star core. The difference is that the soul itself is required to carry it. Lin Moyu pondered the difference between the two. To move the skill star core, what is used is the soul power manipulated through consciousness. The soul itself didn't move. Moving talent requires his soul body to act. Lin Moyu believes Antares' words, but feels that things are not that simple. The talent world is deep in the soul, and it is usually invisible. Lin Moyu doesn't know how deep the soul world is. This seems to be a vast and boundless world, seemingly virtual and real. The place we usually live in is just the surface of this world, and it is not easy to go to the depths. Lin Moyu once found the entrance to the talent world and remembered that location. The soul body moves, rises. Following his actions, the entire soul world roared. The soul body is the core of the soul world, and it will not move easily. When he moves, the entire soul world will shake. It was a little unaccustomed at the beginning, but Lin Moyu's adaptability is super strong, and he got used to it quickly. The speed of the soul body gradually accelerated, and flew into the depths.